Hello and welcome to Music and Widescreen. I'm back again today with Andy Tillison from The Tangent, among other bands in the past. It's great to have you back with me, Andy. We talked back in Quebec many years ago.
Well, yes, we've spoken many times over the years. I remember meeting you in Rotherham in the UK, in Chicago in the USA, and no doubt one or two other places. I can't, it all blurs into one. I am a rock musician after all.
Absolutely, that's the three I remember. Certainly, I've seen you perform in 3 countries, so I'm very excited to speak with you again today. Certainly a huge fan of your whole discography. And I was kind of wondering, I don't know if I asked you before, is there an Andy Tillison origin story, as it were? Because you're pretty much, you're riding pretty high right now. And I was wondering, where would you say it's kind of started for you?
Well, I mean, I've been a professional musician since the late 1970s.
Right.
And I started writing songs and putting my own music together at the end of the 1970s.
Right.
And after that point, had this short period where I tried to be, to make it as a pop star kind of thing.
Right.
First of all, in the late 70s, I was in a kind of new wave style band. Very good songwriter. Who was the leader of that band, Dale Hargreaves. He taught me a lot about writing songs, and I've listened to him and use his work to this day, although he died in 86, which is very sad.
Yeah.
But after doing that band with him, I thought, right, now I start to write my own music, and I formed a band called New Opera with some of my friends and very good musicians. And we kind of like, we were sort of like in that kind of Duran Duran, Spandau Ballet sort of mold, a bit more progressive rock in it than them. But, we wore the headbands and all that kind of stuff. In fact, we were really into our music technology and stuff, and there were quite a few things that we did before Duran Duran did them, which was quite good. It was like using drum machines on stage and computers and all that kind of stuff. We were very much into that.
Right.
But they were magnificent musically, and we were in the wrong place at the wrong time, I guess. After that, I went to run a recording studio and got involved with a load of political protest bands and thrash metalers, punks, all that kind of stuff in the late 80s, the real hardcore stuff.
Right.
With bands who would eventually, form the Peaceville label, out of which came people like Opeth and and I was working there with a lot of people and I formed a band called Gold, Frankincense and Disc Drive at that point, which was a kind of an agit pop band, but it was kind of agit prog as well. It was very political protest music, and it was really kind of aggressive music, but it still had a big prog element in it. I was a keyboards player and still struggling to learn how to play progressive music because, I wasn't that good back then. So after that, Parallel 90 Degrees followed, which was, round about the same time as Porcupine Tree first surfaced.
Right.
And we were playing the same places on the same circuit and things.
Cool.
PO90 became quite well respected, but it never took off sales wise. And the Tangent, as you know, was a bit of a one-off project that just turned into, it outsold everything we'd ever done in 4 weeks. In 4 weeks to outsell the entire history of my musical career before that.
That's
and
awesome.
In the end, sad though it may have been, the Tangent was just the obvious band to put my heart and soul into after that point, rather than PO90.
Right.
And although I really do miss the freedom of PO90, because that was there were no restrictions, no limits on what we could do in that band. We could be anything we wanted.
Okay.
Slowly but surely, we've been able to put the Tangent more into that kind of gear, which has been very pleasing for me to be able to do that.
That's awesome.
With the support of the record company and everything.
Right. So the Tangent was kind of seems like it was going to be a one-off by the name, right? And so but that's
yes. I mean, it was a mathematical pun on parallel or 90 degrees is one band, and here's a tangent from it. So
right.
That of course, that a lot of that's being lost in the story now. It's,
right.
It's just been for me, the actual sort of like being a person who, a few people in the world know about, and that's all it is,
Right.
All started with the Tangent, really. Otherwise, had I not done that, I think people now would have said, do you remember that band, Parallel or something?
Yeah,
Which, but I have to say that myself and those people in that band, we did some really great stuff, and I'm still very proud of it to this day. And it just didn't take off.
yeah, as well you should be. That was some great stuff. Of course, I found out about it in retrospect because I heard of the Tangent first, and then Parallel 90 Degrees. So hopefully that Tangent actually helped the Parallel 90 Degree sales a bit, and
it did.
Okay, that's great, because I will tell you that it seems like everything I know you for has had just a great degree of quality. I know when Andy's involved, we're going to get a certain level of quality, and I wonder how much of that has to do with you touched on it earlier. You're always kind of in the technology space. You got Disk Drive in the name of an album. You've got COM, and you were the first band to really kind of embrace MP3s. Do you kind of want to talk about technology and how it affected your music and maybe distribution of music?
Well, I think that a lot of musical development happens at the time of the birth of new musical technologies, and we saw that obviously with the first electrification of instruments in the middle of the last century, with the growth of electric guitars and electric organs and things, and and of course the transmutation of Dylan from folk singer into being an electric artist, and rock and roll, all that kind of stuff. Electricity and that technology really was a big forward. In the 1970s, we got the first synthesizers, stereophonic sound, a lot of different technologies arrived. Recording, 16-track, multi-track, 24-track by the end of the 1970s. And each jump enabled musicians to do more than they previously had. And of course, like as time goes along, you always start to get a kind of it's not Luddite, but a sort of a backlash against the technology. So the 1980s brought all the samplers and the digital synthesizers, digital sound effects, reverbs, and all that kind of stuff. And it's just grown and grown to the point where, you can have a staggeringly good recording studio on a laptop in your pocket. It's amazing what you can do with them. Absolutely astonishing. And I guess, this is not a very big room, and it's not a particularly nice room actually, because I live in it. But the whole of Songs from the Hard Shoulder and Auto Reconnaissance was recorded here, except for the guitar and the bass. The bass was recorded in another room a bit like this, except tidier. And and the guitar was recorded in a living room,
Right.
you know, in another house with another computer, so that, you know, everything took place here. This is it, you know.
Yeah.
There's no through that wall there is where we recorded the drums, which happens to be what you might call a walk-in wardrobe. It's basically a spare room that we use to keep our clothes in.
Right.
But when Steve comes, we just push the clothes to one side, which makes a great acoustic isolation.
Yeah.
Steve sets up in the middle of it and plays the drums, and we record them through here. But so he's 6 feet from where I'm sat, basically.
Right.
Same with Theo. So yeah.
So that's great.
And that's made possible by technology. And the technology means that I can put together entire demos, and the other musicians can come in and react to them and play their own parts and make them work better. And we can talk just like you and I are talking now. I mean, Luke and I spend ages like this, you know, discussing, okay, what can we do here? Maybe we'll try that. And you know, we can play each other music over the thing, and I can go, what do you think of that? Da, 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 da. And people going, okay. So, you know, it's you know, it is a funny thing. I mean, you know, I remember my mum saying that she heard a mellotron and said, that's not a real orchestra. That doesn't sound anything like a real orchestra. And now people say, that doesn't sound like a real mellotron. Hold on, we just got old, didn't we? You know? You know, the technology is just leapt forward. I mean, you know, if Keith Emerson and Rick Wakeman and those people had seen this stuff now, they'd have bought into it straight away. They'd have had it immediately if they could have had this stuff then. Now, and you know, never mind Rick Wakeman and Keith Emerson, Johann Sebastian Bach would have said, I want one of these. I want that now. Of course he would. You know, it's absolutely incredible what we can do. MP3 was something I was particularly interested in.
Right.
And this, because, like, you know, I was very early adopter of the internet. I was a fully connected internet with a website running in 1994.
Wow.
So I wanted to be able to get music out there. And at the time, the only format was this really appalling thing called real audio, and it just sounded.
Oh yeah.
And then, you know, I'd heard this thing, this German company who were doing this thing, and I was reading about them on forums and everything, and they were saying only a few days now to release the beta and everything. Yeah. And we downloaded it the day it came out. We made an MP3, and I've said the day it came out, but I've told this story a million times now, I'm afraid. But like,
okay.
It's okay. You know, we made the MP3. We'd have done it on the same day, but it took nearly 48 hours to do it. The computer had to sit there and chunter away because, you know, it wasn't. It was a Pentium 1. I think an original Pentium 1, 75 megahertz processor, not gigahertz.
Right.
75 megahertz processor. And it just chunted away and finally came up with an MP3, which then took another day to upload to the internet because it was so slow. But in the end, a guy managed to download it. You know, I still maintain there's a very strong possibility that was the first time it had ever been done. There weren't, you know, musicians hadn't really kind of realized just how powerful this thing was going to be for them.
Right.
I kind of got into it because I was teaching music technology at the time.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, so it was, it just excited the pants off me, really. The really sad thing is, and it really packed me off, is that there's this thing called the Internet Wayback Machine. Yeah. It doesn't go back far enough.
Yeah, they weren't.
It doesn't go back far enough. So, like, you can't actually go and find that anymore. It goes back as far as we made an album called this was PO90 made an album called Enjoy Your Own Smell.
Yeah.
And it was only available on the internet, and you could download all the tracks as MP3s, and you could download the artwork and print your own CD out.
Oh, nice.
And 8 years later, Radiohead did it.
Right. Exactly.
So,
Well, I'm glad you told the story. I heard an abbreviated version of it back when we saw you at Summer's End, which was either in Wales or on the other side of the border. I can't quite remember.
the abbreviated version was probably much more interesting.
Oh no! Actually, I like the minutia of this thing because it is a beautiful piece of history there. And as a person that's been on the internet, I was back on the internet in those days, CompuServe and these text only things happening. I really enjoy that. And I've gotten some great stories between you and Marillion about early days of
Yes.
the internet. So we were talking a little bit about songwriting before, and I have to ask, do the lyrics come first? Because you might be my favorite lyricist in the whole genre, and are we working from the lyrics to the music, or is the music first?
Oh, nice of you to say that.
Oh, sure. Sure.
Anyway, it's a funny thing. Is the lyrics with Tangent? I totally changed the way I do them round about 2013.
Really?
Doing some experiments, and this was all to do with. I quite like a lot of dance music, and there's a band I like called Groove Armada, and they have this track called Super Styling, and there's a guy rapping in it, and he's rapping freestyle.
Right.
In other words, he's just saying what comes into his head, and he calls it one-time lyrics. And I thought there's something very interesting about that, something real, and it's the difference between, you can always tell if somebody's reading something,
right,
or if they're just speaking.
Right.
And I thought I'd like to try to sort of see if I could get the lyrics to be more train of consciousness, stream of consciousness, sorry, and less read. Because like up till now, I used to write the lyrics and then sing them from a piece of paper. So I thought, what if I was just singing from the heart, and what I feel? And of course, I started doing it. And this does mean that, of course, there's going to be an awful lot of mistakes where I say utterly ridiculous things that sound absolutely naff. But in the end, most of it's just coming out of my mouth as I feel them. And as a result of which, I'm not writing lyrics down. So at the moment, the lyrics are, by virtue of the way I do it, coming after the music, right? But I often know what it is I want to sing about first. Right. I know what the basis of the piece is going to be, and I just take it from there.
Right.
So I'll get an idea into my head what I want to be singing about, and I'll just sit down and play the piano, and I'll and just singing like that and playing the piano, and I can also have it so I can play bass on the left hand, piano with the right hand, and also hit out some drums using my feet. So that's kind of useful. I can get a picture of how I want it to sound rhythmically and melodically at the same time, and I'll just record it. And drop little markers on the music every so often when I hear something. I think that was good. Just hit this button down here.
Gotcha.
There is a button down here. You can just see there's a row of buttons. Then I can go back, revisit the bits I thought were good, cobble them together. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Then start orchestrating it, and then reach a point where I think, right, now is the time to put the lyrics on so we can see what else needs to happen after that. And that's how it goes at the moment. Of course, I may change again at one point when I want to try something new again. So,
yeah, well, it's amazing because I'm going to make this comparison, and there's a danger he may not like the comparison, but I really like the lyrics. It reminds me of Billy Joel, how I know exactly what's going on in his life at the time that it's been written. And I feel that about The Tangent. And I'm like, okay, it's so good that you're singing these because these are so personal. Whether it's like your trip in America, I think just near New York, or when you're in Paris and looking down at some people that are downtrodden, and I really feel like I'm part of the scene, you know.
That is the idea. We've always striven to do that.
Right.
And we like to set a scene, tell a story within it, or move across, or make it, or have a travelogue,
Right.
Sometimes we just stay in the one place, but I like, obviously there's been a fair few where I'm kind of moving through landscapes, both imaginary and real. There was a series, the Lost series, which we got Lost in London, Perdu dans Paris, which is Lost in Paris, of course. Lost in London Part 2, Jinxed in Jersey.
Yeah.
Those are all sort of like stories about me moving along and the world sort of like, interacting with the world and sort of like looking around in amazement at all these things that are going on.
Right.
And it's a, it's something that I also like mentioning landmarks and stuff, which is a tried and tested way. I was saying this to another guy the other night, that you have the Irish songs that mention the different counties, so that pubs, when the name gets, when that Galway gets mentioned, all the Galway people go yay. And the Americans followed suit with the rock and roll songs, rocking down in Boston, Pittsburgh, PA, deep in the heart of Texas, down in New Orleans, all the that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it's something that's been popular for a very, very long time, and so that when I write Lost in London, I mention the Albert Hall, I mention the BBC shows coming in through Acton, ending up at Brent Cross Shopping Centre, stuff like that. It's an old technique, as old as the hills.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah. Well, it's great. I mean, like I said, it does place me there. And let's talk a little bit about the album here specifically. I'll explain to our American English speaking people. The Hard Shoulder is what you might expect it to be, and it's the lane next to the throughway, and it's hard. It's actually paved and everything. And I actually looked it up just to make sure that I knew what it was. I was surprised that it actually isn't in the American English Dictionary. It's only in the English dictionary. So, but I assume this is a metaphor and not a metaphor at the same time. Did you have some breakdowns?
I've actually written a few songs throughout the years using the Hard Shoulder as a metaphor. The second album by Gold Frankincense and Disc Drive was actually called Life Cycle. Not After Life Cycle, Life Cycle, and underneath it, it's a fractured view from the Hard Shoulder. It's something that's, it's something that I've always been interested in, traffic and transportation systems. I'm a big railway enthusiast, kind of stuff, and there's nothing I like better than sitting beside a railway and knowing what's going on and knowing what that signal means and what that couple of buzzers from the signal box meant and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
I'm the same with roads. And the Hard Shoulder, when you pull into the Hard Shoulder and your car is broken down, suddenly life has taken a turn that you didn't want it to take.
Right.
You're suddenly blinking in a place where you have no intention of stopping. You don't know exactly where you are. You're just by the motorway somewhere. There's an awful big chance you don't know what county you're in. You might even know what state you're in,
Right.
And you're just by the side of the road. You make a telephone call and you wait for somebody to come and help you. And in the meantime, the world just goes on, flying past you. The great big big rigs come past. The cars are zooming past, and you're just thinking,
Yeah.
What's going to happen now? You know, and so that's it. You know,
Yeah.
the hard shoulder is a place where you can metaphorically end up, like in the case of our last song, with a homeless woman.
Yeah.
Felt she was on the hard shoulder, as it were, and that a massive number of us, all at the same time, ended up on the hard shoulder for 2 years, and just a couple of years.
Right. Right.
And there was nothing going past on the hard shoulder for a part of that time, and
Right.
we were all going, shit.
Yeah.
What's happening now? You know, so that's just the way it was. So yeah, I wanted to use that title again.
Yeah, it's a great title. And I love the first song specifically. It was I assume it was going to be the opening track when you first started writing it, because it does have a little bit of opening. The first measures kind of feel like an opening to an album, and I really like the little Beatles type of little homage to the Beatles there halfway through. It's just a beautiful song.
Well, all the lonely people. I mean, you know, there were so many lonely people during that period.
Right.
You know, we were.
Yeah.
You know, we all missed each other, somehow chronic, and you know, and you know, there were days where you kind of thought, "Are we going to make it out of this?" You know,
right.
You know, will this actually end, or are we in the opening scenes of a dystopian future movie or something? You know,
right.
Obviously, you know, gradually we began to realize, okay, there is a way out of this, and we, you know, it's going to be a long road, but we'll get there. But
right.
There was a point, you know, before. So I started the Changes song, which is the one you're talking about, obviously.
Right. Right.
Before there were vaccines. You know, that first verse, I wonder if I'll ever see the places from these photos in the box. I wonder if I'll ever see them again.
Right.
You know, that was just what everybody in the world was thinking at that point, you know?
Right.
And I did said before that it's a really it's a difficult thing writing about current affairs, because they all go out of date straight away, because you know our album is completely out of date, because you know we've moved on to cost of living crisis and Ukrainian troubles, which are horrendous, and the thing I was writing about at the time has moved for the time being into the background. So it's very difficult to be, you know, contemporary, particularly when you've actually got, you know, record company lead times and times to take into account. But you know, you just have to sort of think, okay, that's what it's going to be. And,
yeah, it's a moment in time. It may not be the moment that you released it, but it's a moment in time. And we all know from technology, you know, especially back in the day, there is the gold disc, which means that's the final copy. That's we're going to ship to the customer. Okay, this is Outlook 2005. This is it's down there. There's no way there's not an easy way to upgrade it at the time. So I think everybody gets that. And you know, I really it's great that you mentioned that, because I didn't pick that up yet. I've listened to it a couple times, but you know, the lyrics are chunky. I mean, there's a lot to take in, and there's so many layers. And that's what I love about The Tangent is I could listen to it many times and before I actually maybe get 90% of it. And then even if I wasn't a big fan of the song originally, I'll have listened to it 4 or 5 times to kind of get the meaning. And that by then I'm enjoying it, because now I'm accustomed to the music of that, or the sounds from that particular song, you know? So I think it bodes well. Go ahead.
Well, you know, really glad that it's working. I mean, you know, obviously, there are people who don't agree with you, and there's a lot of you know, I do take a lot of criticism from people who don't like the fact that I do current affairs in the music, and
Okay.
that's inevitable. But all I can say is there's so much music out there. You can choose music in Swahili if you want, and you can choose music that's guaranteed to have absolutely no political content whatsoever, yet still be right up your street musically. It's out there. So, all you've got to do is not buy mine.
Yeah. Well, and there's so much, I mean, and it is prog rock. I mean, it's not trying to be one size fits all anyway, right? So
no, it's not. No.
There's some success with this. We were talking a bit yesterday about it made the top 10 of British rock charts. Is that correct? Or what are we talking about?
And British rock charts were number 9 for this week.
All right. That's outstanding, right? I'm sure the label and yourself are very happy about that.
We're very happy about it. It's just nice to see that, we've enough people were interested enough in us this week to go out and buy our record. And it's, that makes me very, very happy. And probably in all honesty, I can virtually guarantee that next week it won't be there. It's that surge of people buying the record at the same time, which made it do it, and then it will disappear out.
Yes, Phil.
But it doesn't matter because this is myself and all the other guys who do this kind of music.
Right.
We didn't ever start this music to become rich.
Right.
Because or to become famous. Because if that's what we'd wanted, we would have chosen a different form of music altogether. Because, and most of us would have been able to do that job if we'd wanted. But that's not the job we wanted to do. This is what we wanted to do.
Right.
And, essentially, in the eyes of many people in the world, it's basically we spend our lives failing, but we don't think we do, and the people who we make happy don't think we've failed. So that's essentially what we're here to do. The age of rock stars, which will eventually be a thing. People will look back at that period between the mid 1950s and the early 90s as the age of rock stars, from Elvis Presley through to people like Oasis and stuff like that. When these sort of like demigods with enormous wealth sold thousands and millions of records worldwide, and became fabulously rich. That sort of like zeitgeist has gone because they were selected people by record companies, built up, supported, put in the right place, sold all over the world by big companies.
Right.
And now we can reach as many people as we want. But the point is there's so many other people doing it that we can only reach a handful of the people who because that's it. I mean, there was a time when, there was only one MP3 to download on the internet.
Yeah.
It's just that there weren't many other people on the internet, and most of them didn't want to spend 48 hours decoding it. So, I can understand why that wasn't a big hit.
Right.
But by the time it came to MP3s, there's so many millions of them, and everybody wanted them free, and there was Napster and and Audio Galaxy, and of course that sort of metamorphosed into Spotify. Right. And music, we've kind of, musicians had this thing that we started off as minstrels and people busking on street corners, and maybe if we were lucky, we might get an invitation to play at the King's Court, many centuries ago. And then there was just this one period where musicians became really, really rich. By virtue of the fact that, we were the only electronic entertainment available on Tuesday afternoons in England, because television wasn't on all day in the 1970s. It used to start at 4 o'clock. So when you were on holiday from school on a Tuesday, there was no TV, there were no video games, there was no video recorders. You couldn't play a video back. The only thing you could do was put a record on. That was the only electronic entertainment available. So records sold like cakes, you know.
Is that what was on the TV then? Was it because I have this vision of, I watched a TV show called Life on Mars, which you may have seen, and they had like a schoolgirl with a doll or something like that. What was actually?
Right, yes, I mean that used to be on the TV during the daytime before the program started. It was quite unusual. I mean, you know, the BBC just kind of didn't really seem to think about the idea of people might want to watch telly in the afternoon. No, we're at school. We don't want to be.
Right.
So it started at 4 with children's programs.
I see.
And of course, when you were you know, a 17-year-old, as a lot of us were, buying our prog records and stuff like that, we used to come home from school, and the first thing that would be on television was children's programs. Now 17-year-olds aren't wanting to watch those children's programs,
right?
And they don't even really want to watch the news at that point in your life,
right.
Basically, you're waiting for either Kojak, Starsky and Hutch, Doctor Who, or something like that to come on the TV. That's not going to happen till about 8 o'clock at night
after dinner.
You've got this huge part of the day without the electronic entertainment. Now that was fine, because you know I used to like going out, walking, and riding my bike and all that kind of stuff. But when it rained, you know, I used to listen to records. That was it. That was how I saw it. I used to obviously I read books. I used to read the New Musical Express, the Melody Maker, Sounds, and even Rolling Stone when I could get hold of it.
Oh, nice.
And you know, it was a completely different world, and as a result of that change, you know, musicians are never going to have it quite as good again. There's never going to be that sort of vehicle for taking off in the same way as they used to be. But the point is, I have very positive feelings about it, because you know, in the end, music will become so unprofitable that the only people making music will be doing it because they absolutely adore making music. Although it pisses me off that they won't get paid. The music will probably get better. And I think there's some fantastic stuff out there at the moment. I don't subscribe to the young people don't know how to make music thing. Some astonishing young people out there making amazing music. So
well, it is refreshing that you're you know, you're listening to rap and all these different things. I mean, what a great way to progressive rock is by listening to other genres of music. I mean, that seems to be a very strong idea.
I think it's really important to do that, because you know, otherwise you're all drinking from the same pool, aren't you? I mean, you know, because if you just go back and look at 1970s prog bands and take nothing but your influence from there, you are going to end up sounding like a 1970s prog band. And if that's what you want to do, that's fine. And sometimes it's exactly what we've wanted to do. But like, you know, if you're going to make 12 records rather than 2, you have to start looking around and, you know, at least keep yourself fresh. And I've always enjoyed listening to music and discovering new things. Just as once upon a time progressive rock music was new to me and fascinated me and captured my imagination, there are still things that do that now, you know. Just this week I've just been listening to an absolutely stunning record by Bruno Mars and
Oh, yeah.
Anderson .Paak called Silk Sonic,
Yeah.
which, you know, it's really weird, but it's almost like the same tangent idea. It's the same idea as us, except in a completely different form of music. They've kind of gone back and really recreated very carefully a lot of the sounds and atmosphere of late 1960s, early soul, blaxploitation music, that kind of stuff. It's really, really cool, really nice. But over the top of it, they've sung contemporary lyrics about the world we're living in now. And I kind of thought, hey, that's kind of, do that as well. I was kind of pleased. And the production of that and the musicianship is just staggering.
Right.
I've always, you know, my favorite band to listen to play, I think they're the best musicians in the world I've ever seen, are Earth, Wind and Fire.
Interesting.
Just when I see those guys play, I'm just bowled over by how good they are and what an amazingly talented, funky, dancey sound they've got. And it's so progressive in the way it's all constructed.
Well, yeah, and I like their harmonies a lot as well. It's just outstanding. Actually, your harmonies I was wondering, your harmonies on the changes, is that you double tracked or is that you with other members of the band?
It's me and Luke.
You and Luke, okay.
Yeah, and like Luke, I need to, you know, make sure he gets the credit here. It was actually his idea.
Okay.
To bring in a lot of the harmony vocals, and at first I resisted.
Okay.
And he just said, "Well, let me show you," and he showed me, and it was on like that. You know, I thought, "Oh, wow, no, that's not what I was expecting at all."
Yeah.
I was blown away by that. I mean, he's a very, very talented man, as you tell. But you know, he's you know, obviously a lot of people will just see him as this brilliant guitar player,
right?
But there's a whole lot more than that. You know, it's the complete musical package is there, you know, and his songwriting is really developing at the moment, and his arrangements, production techniques, everything, all absolutely just ready for just ready to be a multi-millionaire.
Whatever the prog version of that is. But because I don't know if you were, I can't remember if you were at that Summer's End show or not, but we saw him as him and Dan in Concrete Lake, and then immediately after that they changed their name. But that was they pretty much wowed everybody with their playing. So that was
I was there that day. But I actually played with them on that gig.
Oh, that's right.
Just for one song at the end. It was a bit of a pleasure, a bit of a privilege to do that. To play with guys that age, at my age, was really kind of something. I was chuffed to bits.
Yes, that's awesome. When I've seen that kind of age gap in bands I've had, it's always been really interesting. There's another band I can't remember. The Green Door, Scenes Behind the Green Door with Merrick Arnold, and he usually he writes everything, and then he gets a bunch of young guys to perform it with him on stage, and it's always this love fest for everybody because of the different ages in the crowd.
This is I mean, bringing Luke into the band was a crucially good thing to have done. I mean, it's now 12 years since we brought him in, and like he's he's just brought so many things to us, so many influences, in the same way as that Jonas has over the years. I mean, see, like at the beginning of the Tangent, although we used to do a bit of improvisation, which kind of sounded a bit jazzy.
Right.
Since I've been working with Jonas, I've learned a lot more about jazz and how it works, and the same with Theo. they've all brought, and their influences have worn off on me. And Luke brought a whole load of bands that I've never even heard of, musical styles I'd never investigated.
Great.
Into my life. And at the same time as that, when I was working at the college, I started meeting a lot of people who wanted to be DJs, performance DJs, rather than radio DJs. And meeting them and what they were trying to do with record decks and sound shaping devices, I just found it really interesting. And everybody's creativity is still very, very strong. So
that's why your 12th album is so strong. I mean, we think about a lot of these bands that are maybe on the cover of Prog magazine, and you think about their 12th album, and you're like, they probably could have moved on by then.
Let's be fair. I read a review the other day which said that the Tangent never surprises anybody. The guy who reviewed it anymore. So it's just another Tangent record.
Yeah,
and there will be people who see it like that.
Yeah,
because they'll hear me playing the organ, they'll hear my voice, and they'll think, yeah, Tangent, okay.
Yeah.
But all I can say is that we have done it to the best of our ability. We've tried to sort of make a record that says something that the previous ones didn't.
Right.
It's never going to be easy to do that when you've already made 12. But
absolutely.
But we'll keep trying. And the reason, as I say, it's such a strong reason, is that we've never had the one that breaks us. There's never been the one that sort of goes, wow, this band is the thing of the day. I don't know. I've got no idea whether it'll happen. It'd be nice if it did, but in the end, we'll just keep batting. And
absolutely,
we'll leave behind us whatever we've made, and it'll be up to somebody else to listen to it.
This album is a must for any Tangent fan. And if maybe you weren't enamored with the Tangent, I think this is worth a try to revisit the Tangent, because it's really, every song moves me in a way that and there's a nice theme here going on here. We do have a bonus track on here, and this is a long bonus track. What's the criteria for this being a bonus track and not part of the album per se? Is it off topic? Is it what's going on here with in the dead of night?
I'm sure somebody else would be able to explain it a lot better than me. But
okay,
when we're making records for our record company, who I adore, there's no problem with me and my record company. So they've looked after me for 20 years, and I don't think I've made them a huge amount of money.
Right.
But the fact is that they always want a bonus track.
Okay.
Now they want a bonus track, and it's on. And there's two editions, and one has the bonus track and the other one doesn't have the bonus track. And
okay.
I believe there's a certain market for both.
I see.
So that, so like if somebody wants to pay a bit less for it, they can pay less for it and they don't get the bonus track. Okay. But like whatever it is. Anyway, so I have to put a bonus track on. And this time round, I'd just done a solo version of In the Dead of Night for an Italian compilation album, which is a tribute to John Wetton.
Okay.
It's called Celebrating the Dragon. And not Chasing the Dragon, it's Celebrating the Dragon. And it's quite a lot of Italian artists and a few people who aren't Italian. Myself, I do this solo version of it. And it's basically just the first 5 minutes of it.
Okay.
And it's based on the same kind of original demo recordings as I made for the Tangent. So we went back and expanded it. The great thing is that we've never actually done a recorded cover version before. We've done live cover versions. Yeah, never done a studio cover version before. And of course, the thing is that there's 5 people in the Tangent, and we've all got very different musical tastes.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing we can all agree on is that UK are one of our favourites.
Right.
All of us, to a man, we all love UK.
Right.
So it took absolutely no persuading. I didn't have to sort of like, sell a Yes song or a Genesis piece to everybody.
Right.
UK, right, we're in.
Right.
And it wouldn't have mattered which song I'd chosen because we love them all.
Right.
So,
cool. So let's talk. I asked this question. Sometimes the artist actually isn't in the loop on this. Can you tell me about what it's available on? Is there like a colored vinyl, black vinyl, that type of thing?
Yeah, it's available on CD, of course. I think you can get it download from iTunes and various other download places.
Okay.
It's on the it's on Pirates with Lawyers. Oh, so Spotify. Sorry, and it's also on and it's also on vinyl, which it's double vinyl, and the collector's edition is on transparent blue vinyl.
Oh, nice! I love that. Those are beautiful.
And of course, there's the normal black one. I personally always prefer to have the black one because to me, I love records, and they were always black, and I like black records.
Gotcha.
But I haven't actually played my vinyl copy of the album yet.
Okay.
I'm going to do it very soon.
Okay, you have a turntable then. You're ready to go.
I've got one black one and a blue one, so I'll probably play the blue one and keep the black one for best.
Nice. Yeah, that's great. And does the vinyl fit? It's really on the borderline. All 5 tracks fit in the vinyl, bonus track and everything.
Yeah, the vinyl will always have the bonus track on it.
Okay. All right. Very good.
It's basically most of side 4 is the bonus track, and there's the song "Wasted Soul" just before it.
Okay. And actually, one question for me. Actually, I don't quite remember his name. Is Latham the drummer? Something Latham is. How's he doing? Have you talked to him at all? Am I remembering his name?
Tone is absolutely top. Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't spoken to him in a little while, but it's not, a few months ago I did. I had probably more than half a year ago actually.
Yeah.
Last to him, but he was in top form. I really like Tony, and it was lovely to hear from him again. Yeah,
that's good because I had a nice talk with him in Quebec, and I got mad at him for giving cigarettes to Dan. But besides that, I had a real good time with him.
Yeah, he's a great guy, and I think you'll find that. I think he's playing on the new Machine album.
Okay, great.
Which will be good. And I think he'll be playing some of the songs, and there'll be another drummer playing the others. So,
okay, interesting. And are there any live shows planned for the Tangent? Do we have anything there going on there?
Nothing at the moment. I'm afraid. Although I do have some plans for something next year. It's more likely to be a kind of like you come and see us gig. Rather, we'd like to organize an event at some point next year, which would be more than just a gig. But at the moment, a band like ours organizing a tour could end up bankrupting itself simply because of COVID. We've got no idea what might happen. A lockdown would destroy this group, if we were in the middle of a tour. And so we have to be really, really careful about where we put our money at the moment. Right.
I do know that Clive Nolan is building a venue at his new house. So maybe you can ask Clive if he wants to have you in his new place.
Oh, well, that might I don't know Clive all that well, actually.
Okay.
I mean, see, like, there's this, I live in the north of England, and he lives, almost insurmountable distances from me.
Probably he's pretty far west now.
We always go, hello, and that's about it. I don't know him. And he seems to be a nice enough chap. I don't really know any of the guys from down south, to be honest. So,
that's interesting. Well, great. Well, Andy, thanks so much for spending all this time with me, and it's always great to talk with you. We have a lot in common. I didn't really feel like spending the time on expounding on that, but I love your music. I love the visuals from the lyrics, and I'm always looking forward to hearing what you come out with. And we'll be playing it in a lot of it tomorrow on our show. And thanks so much for doing this for your fans, as well as as well as the music in general. Music lovers in general. So,
been my pleasure to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed, Mark. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, and we'll talk to you soon. Hopefully, we'll hear some shows being come out, because we'll probably get on a plane and check you out again.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you very much indeed. Yeah.
All right.
Look after yourself. Best wishes to you and your family.
Okay. Thank you so much, Andy. We'll talk to you soon.